Hi everybody, welcome to This Day in History. Now some of you listening live, seeing it on Facebook, whatever, might notice that we are actually doing this a little bit earlier. It's 9 p.m. on the 19th. We're doing the 20th and talking about This Day in History for the 20th because a lot of people will be following that. And I'm going to go running tomorrow for my running group that starts at 8. So I wanted to make sure I got this out to you guys, and you got to know this day in history. So we're going to get started right away. It is 345 more days remaining in the year. So if you're really looking forward to 2019, that's how long you got. Now back in 1265, the first English Parliament, to include not only lords but representatives of the major towns, held their meeting in the Palace of Westminster, now commonly known as the Houses of Parliament. That happened in 1265. We move way ahead to 1523. Christian II is forced to abdicate as King of Denmark and Norway. Normally, King of Denmark is normally either Christian or the Frederick, I think. So, very interesting that way. All right. And we got 1649, Charles I of England is put on trial for treason and other high crimes. We looked at that a little bit yesterday, as treason was a way that they would have got hung and then drawn quartered. So it was really a trip. The Kingdom of Great Britain signs a treaty with the United States, officially ending hostilities in the American Revolutionary War that happened this day, 1783. In 1788, the third and main part of the First Fleet arrives on Botany Bay. Arthur Phillip decides that Port Jackson is a more suitable location for a colony. Now, like I talked about yesterday again, bringing all these days in history together, the First Fleet was the group of people from Britain, from England, that got sent to Australia because they were just bad people. So there you go. All right, 1841, Hong Kong Island is occupied by the British. In 1877, the last day of the Constantinople Congress results in agreement for political reforms in the Balkans. In 1887, the United States Senate allows the Navy to lease Pearl Harbor as a naval base. I believe right around that time in 1887, that was still a time where it was the Kingdom of Hawaii. Okay, so it was long visited by the naval fleet of the United States before it was acquired by the by the Hawaiian Kingdom, and signing the Reciprocity Treaty in 1875. So very interesting, as it was part of the Kingdom of Hawaii before it was part of the United States. In 1921, the first Constitution of Turkey is put together, making fundamental changes in the source and exercises sovereignty by consecrating the principle of national sovereignty. There you go. 1936, Edward VIII becomes the king of the United Kingdom. Now I'm going to take a little quick peek in here, because I just want to make sure I'm reading everything right. Now, Edward VIII was not king for too long, almost a year, as he abdicated the throne to marry an American, Wallis Simpson, which we looked at probably when we started the show, right in December. So that's very interesting. So Edward VIII becomes king of the United Kingdom. This day in history, 1936. In 1937, Franklin Delano Roosevelt and John Gance Gardner are sworn into their second terms as president and vice president. The first occasion of a presidential inauguration take place in January. 1941, a German officer is killed in Bucharest, sparking a rebellion by the Iron Guard, killing 125 Jews and 30 soldiers. In 1945, the provincial government of Belamokos in Hungary leads to an armistice with the Allies. 1945 also, Germany begins evacuation of 1.8 million people from East Prussia, a task that will take at least 2 months. 1948, United Nations Security Council Resolution 39 relating to Pakistan and India is adopted. 1949, Harry S. Truman is inaugurated as the 33rd president. You'll probably get a lot of these, folks. It's that day. Then we have the same day, the Point 4 program for economic aid to poor countries is announced by Truman in his inaugural address. In 1953, Dwight D. Eisenhower is inaugurated as the 34th president. There you go. 1954, the National Negro Network is established by 40 charter member radio stations. Very interesting. 1954. 1961, John F. Kennedy was inaugurated president, second youngest man to take the office. 69, Richard Nixon was inaugurated as the 37th president. In 77, Jimmy Carter was inaugurated as the 39th president. 1981, Ronald Reagan was inaugurated the 40th president. 20 minutes later after that, as I said yesterday, Iran releases 52 American hostages. They wanted to wait until Reagan was president. 1986, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is celebrated as a federal holiday for the first time. 1989, George Bush is inaugurated president. You guys see that there's a pattern here. In 1991, nobody was inaugurated president. I kid. I have a little bit of fun with that. Sudan's government opposes Islamic law nationwide, worsening the civil war between the country's Muslim North and Christian South. Then we move forward to 1993, where President Bill Clinton is inaugurated as the 42nd President of the United States. 2001, George W. Bush is inaugurated as the 43rd President of the United States. You probably know where it's going next, folks, and I'll just go there right away. Barack Obama is inaugurated 44th President. And in 2017, yes, it's true, it's so very, very true, Donald Trump is inaugurated as the 45th President of the United States, becoming the oldest person ever to take the office of the President. It's a very interesting deal there. Alright, so now we go to births. We're going to tell you guys whose birthday it is today. I do this cold, so I go right down the list of a lot of very famous people throughout history. Most of them I have no idea who they are. I like talking about popes and queens and all this other cool stuff. And I like also bringing up people who have been very important politically, because I think that's important. Like Richard Henry Lee, who was the president of the Continental Congress. He was born this day in 1732. That's a kind of cool deal to me. Let's talk about Walter Bacon, who was the 60th governor of Delaware and had the coolest last name of all time. He was born in 1880. As we go further down the list, we try to find the oldest person who still has a Wikipedia page. And we're getting there, folks. And it is our winner today, Ray Anthony. Ray Anthony, who was born 1922, so celebrating his 96th birthday today. He's a trumpet player. Also celebrating their birthday today, Slim Whitman would have been celebrating his birthday today. Would have been 97 years old if he was still with us today. Buzz Aldrin, who is still with us, born 1930. Tom Baker, 1934. We always find some really good ones here. David Lynch, actor, director, producer, screenwriter, all around awesome kind of dude. So happy birthday to him. Bill Maher, who a little side note about Bill Maher, I know he has all these famous shows and everything like that. The first movie I ever saw, or the first time I ever saw Bill Maher, was in a movie called The Amazon Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death. It's just a great movie. I actually want to see it again, and I'll probably go see if it's on Netflix or something, because it's freaking hilarious. I love it. It's also Paul Stanley's birthday from the group Kiss. It is Will Wright's birthday. He co-founded Maxis, video game dude. Ozzie Guillen's birthday today. Let's see, it's Jack Lewis's birthday today. It's Stacey Dash. Happy birthday to Stacey Dash. Rainn Wilson. John Michael Montgomery. It's John Michael Montgomery's birthday today. It's also Kellyanne Conway's birthday today. So hopefully they throw a big party for her in the White House, and however it works. It's Edwin McCain's birthday today. Edwin McCain, singer-songwriter. Awesome. It is Nikki Haley's birthday today, who is our United Nations ambassador. And that's just awesome. 1973, Queen Mathilde I just totally slaughtered that name, but she's from Belgium. Happy birthday to her. Carl Anderson, born 1980. Happy birthday to Carl. And we looked and see some of the other young ones. Nick Foles, who is playing this weekend against the Minnesota Vikings. I almost said the Green Bay Packers because they've been to the game more times. But they're playing against the Vikings this week. Happy birthday to you, Nick. Hopefully you have a great game. And only throw 12 interceptions. Because, you don't want to do that bad. So, there you go. Alright, but happy birthday to you anyways, sir. Alright, and that's this day in history for the births. Now we'll go to the deaths, including Pope Fabian, that died in 250. He died in 250. So there you go. Alright, we're going to go down the list. Christian the 8th of Denmark died this day in history, 1848. George V of the United Kingdom died this day in history, 1936. You might notice when I said that Edward VIII was made king that day, that's because that was also the day that George died. And I was surprised they didn't say anything about that, but we'll highlight that here anyway. Just so people who don't know, George V of the United Kingdom is the grandfather to Queen Elizabeth II. So there you go, little highlight there. Audrey Hepburn died this day in history, 1993. Very sad because she was an amazing actress. Yeah, awesome. If you guys ever watch any really older movies that are really good, check that out because it's pretty awesome. And Etta James died this day in 2012. John Baker Jr. also died this day in 2012 as well. So that is this day in history for January 20th. We go to the holidays, so it's Army Day in Laos. It's Inauguration Day for most of for every 4 years and odd-numbered years. It is Heroes Day in Cape Verde, and it is Martyrs Day in Azerbaijan. And, of course, I just wanted to say Azerbaijan. So you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you here real soon on The Scott Show. Enjoy January 20th. And now you can tell people what happened on this day in history.